various instruments.
Oh,
So I don't know. It might be a look better like if I just got rid of some of this stuff.
I don't know. I don't know.
Looks cooler. Looks like I got some gear.
Well, yeah, you're a gear. Okay, yeah, you're definitely a musician.
So that looks better, right? And
Yeah, I
then
think that does look a little better. Yeah. Yeah, take what's behind that? What's behind that curtain? Oh, yeah. Okay, that looks cooler. That does look cooler. Yeah,
okay,
it
so-
looks like you're more ready to engage us with some entertainment.
right. Looks like this is where it all happens. This is the mad laboratory. Let me text Michael just to see if he is going to be coming. 'Cause
Okay,
he's actually
yeah.
down in Miami, and I think he'll be showing up. I think he will attend the festival, which would be great because he's got a lot of stories, and had a really sort of, as from a producing perspective, an interesting sort of experience dealing, well, dealing with the style of production that we had, and then, Lee County and how Lee County was willing to, he says he's coming,
Okay,
willing
cool.
to,
I'm gonna go fill up I've noticed I'm only at 1/8 a cup of coffee, which
all
is
right, you need
which
more.
is enough, but maybe not. I'll be right. I'm gonna get a little coffee and come right back.
Okay.
Oh, he's looking to. So Michael's the producer. You're the director.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. We've let Michael Robinson into the room. He might be connecting via audio now. We'll see here.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm excited. Let me see if I can. I'm going to try to encourage you to start your video. See if we can see you.
Yep. Hold on. Start my video.
There you are.
There he is.
Let me shut my door.
Very cool.
Look at all the Post-its. This is a guy that's busy. It's a busy guy right there.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Those are very organized Post-its too. Those are very organized.
Yeah.
I should frame it. Jules, I need you to frame it for me, man.
Okay. Hey, is that my photo back there?
Which one?
In the back by the door.
That sure is.
Look at that. Wow.
That's your Buddha, man.
Yeah.
I haven't put it up in the new house yet.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good to see that.
Yes. Thank you for that again. I look at it often to remind me how insane the world is and myself. So I'm sorry. Nice to meet you.
No, don't be sorry. I was going to say, I think I recognize you. I'm pretty sure I saw you in an AP photo of the partiers on Miami Beach recently. Was that you?
Yeah, me and the thongs just hanging out. I don't know if you remember that line from Trans, but 6 months is a long time not to get behind.
Still remember, you're still quoting the film. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming today. I told Julian that probably I'd keep it to maybe about a half hour or so, if that's not too much.
I'll be honest, I gotta leave by 1:25.
Okay, so let's keep it to 20 minutes. Let's get into it.
Go ahead.
So I'm Eric Raddatz. I'm the director of the Fort Myers Film Festival here for the 2021 Film Festival. We're doing some throwbacks and celebrating some great filmmakers who filmed right here in Fort Myers, Florida. We have this today director Julian Goldberger, the director of the film Trans, and producer Michael Robinson. Welcome, both of you, to this Q&A for the film festival.
Thanks, Eric.
I had not heard of this film until within the last 3 years, and I'm embarrassed about that. And I'll just be honest, mostly because we've only been doing this 11 years, and we've only really taken into consideration films that have been recently produced. Although when I heard of it through a friend of mine who's Jordan Axelrod, is a filmmaker who's had a few films in our festival, who said, have you seen the movie? I know you've heard of it now. Have you seen it? I said, no, I haven't yet. And he says, and he just gives he does this thing with his hands where he's like, like that, like this. And he is one of my go-to folks when it comes to let's really think about if we like this film or not. He's very smart. So I watch it and I feel the same way. So without gushing too much, I just kind of want to bring the folks who are going to come out to see this film up to speed with regards to how it was conceived. Maybe Julian start off, or Michael, whoever. What led you down to writing trans, filming in Fort Myers, and then I know we could get into the story how it made Sundance 1998 or 99 and got distributed through Blockbuster Video. I've come to find out as I've done my research, and the folks who worked on it and the places we see in it are very much Fort Myers. So who wants to go first? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll just try, because I know we've got time, time crunch a bit, but I'll try. I know I could go on and on and on about, if you want to hear about the genesis of trans, how it came to be, but just to kind of condense the whole story. Michael and I were going to make a film on Pine Island about a commercial fishing family that was dealing with the ban on gillnet fishing. And so we had I was in LA. I think, Michael, I don't know, were you in LA at the time or you were in New York?
I was in New York.
Yeah, so we both decided, it was essential to do a lot of research. I grew up in Fort Myers, so, there was that aspect that obviously drew me to back home and to, some of these sort of issues that were going on with the sort of conflict between sports fishermen, environmental groups, the commercial fishermen. So there was a lot of that was happening at the time that was topical, and we wanted to come investigate and look at it and talk to people. So that was the initial plan, was to make a movie about a particular kid, 16, around that age, 15, 16, who grew up in a commercial fishing family and was struggling to figure out what was happening to his life, that he thought he was going to sort of, that his path was going to be like his father's and his father's father. This whole tradition, the heritage of gillnet fishing. That was the plan, but our budget for that movie was pretty substantial for our first time kind of production. And we were sort of, for us, we're trying to get things in play. For us as a team making a feature for the first time, it was a little bit challenging as far as raising money, and the budget was just almost too big for what we were, I don't know, Michael, if you want to sort of talk to that or speak to that sort of aspect, but he didn't have the money. So we kind of pivoted and decided, that's not going to stop us from making a movie. We need to make a film. And so then I kind of decided to pivot a bit to something more personal. What was it like, the kind of experience growing up in Fort Myers, a feeling, a mood. And at the time I was teaching at Cypress Lake, as I was researching for the commercial fishing project, I was also teaching at at Cypress's sort of film department. They have a small film and video department. That was, I guess, do you know what it's called, Eric? I forget. That was the Center for, what was it? Al Schilling's
Center, it might have, but it is known as the Cypress Lake Center for the Arts. Is it arts?
That's it.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. So I was teaching there briefly, just a sort of like an intensive Super 8 film workshop. And it was from there where I was starting to kind of, do some casting for this sort of idea, this sort of loose notion of what trans would become. And so I was just looking around, the kids in school and stuff and talking to them. And, we auditioned a dozen or so kids, and we found Ryan Doherty, who was part of the Center for the Arts as well. And he just had something that crystallized the story and the mood and the feeling. And we did a lot of initial sort of improvisation to kind of figure out who the character was and sort of like some of the details that we were kind of filling in. And the story kind of was born out of that process. And then we kind of got into, okay, well, these kids were going to be coming from a juvenile detention center. We better learn about what that's like and what our options are. So I don't know, Michael, you want to sort of talk about that?
Yeah, let's get to Michael for a little bit. I know we all have it's a busy time, but Michael, kind of whatever you want to talk about, but it was filmed here at a detention center. It was how long of the film? I'm not sure. How many minutes was it? Was it an hour 20 or something like that?
It was 83 minutes.
83 minutes. So tell us how you got involved and what your feelings are about the film now as you look back 23 years later, whatever it is.
Well, when Julian was just describing that, I distinctly remember a night he called me up really excited about Ryan when I was in New York. And when I flew down the first night, we just drove around Fort Myers at night with Ryan in the car. And it was really special. It felt like we had something, you know, and, you know, just Julian working with Ryan was a joy to watch. Being in a juvie detention center was integral to the film. And listen, we had pretty much unlimited access. They were wonderful. We shot in a real juvie jail. The actual African-American guard was a guard. And at one point, Jules, if you remember, he's like, can I hit these kids if I need to? I said, if you need to hit the kids, you can hit them. So, you know, so that was really real. You know, that really brought a real raw, real quality to the film. So I think we shot it in 17 days.
Really?
In the can for $9,000.
Okay.
We would run the film up to Orlando to get developed.
I saw that.
That was Miami.
Disney.
Oh, Miami, excuse me.
Was it Miami? I thought credits at the end, Disney MGM Studios or something like that.
Yeah, we got equipment from there.
Equipment.
We would send someone over to Miami, get the film back, and we would project it on the wall.
Can you just tell them? You gotta tell them the story about how the film was like. You know, we had a PA deliver the film down to this lab in Miami, and she delivered it to a medical lab versus a film lab.
Oh my God.
We thought we were missing a few rolls of film, but it worked out. It was quite...
We were able to get it back, fortunately.
As we bring up a little bit of the settings of Fort Myers, that's of real interest to me because people who will see this on the screen here are going to recognize. I mean, the Mr. Donut's no longer there. I think it's a dry cleaning place, but I like that Mr. Donut was one of my favorite little donut shops. But there's also, it looks like you're downtown Fort Myers, which has really experienced a revival since then. In fact, the film will be being screened at the Sidney and Berne Davis Arts Center, which I think you have a scene that goes right past, but back when it was more dilapidated courthouse or post office, whatever I forget last level it was before they started improving it. Tell us a little bit about some of the locations you remember and why you picked them, maybe?
The laundromat's the best.
Yeah.
Julian, go ahead, man.
Which laundromat was that? That one?
It's on 41, sort of, I think, across from the mall.
Okay.
Right? I think it was, yeah, that's maybe a little bit north of the mall, but on 41. Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of scouting. I had plenty of time. Plus, I knew Fort Myers. You know, it wasn't, you know, where should we go? I kind of remembered all the places where we used to hang out in high school, and also just so much great texture, you know, in various locations, and also just being able to. One of the big locations that really helped us, and I think it's one of probably the most memorable scenes in the film. A lot of people talk about it when they talk about trans. They talk about the country store scene and sequence, but that sort of really epitomized sort of our approach to the film, how we kind of embraced location, people, you know, that were there. Those guys were at the location.
Okay.
On the day that we were scouting, and we just sort of talked to them and asked them, like, hey, would you guys want to be involved in this at all? And they're like, they just thought it was funny. They couldn't, you know, we were far from like your typical Hollywood, you know, version of production.
They had no trouble playing the role though, because they were who they were in the movie. It seems like.
That's what we asked them.
Where was the location?
You know, we call them the porch people.
The porch people. Where was that? It had an address on there, so I probably could find out. But where was that one at?
Corkscrew Road.
Corkscrew Road. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's called Corkscrew Road anymore, but
Corkscrew Road. But Wait,
It was in the middle of nowhere.
no.
But that nowhere, I think, has probably been developed since.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, we were looking out at the orange groves, working out there as well when the kids were out working like garbage duty on the highway. And so I think we kind of came across that at that point, stopped in, and we just saw what a fantastic location it was. And the guys there were just game to kind of play with us a bit. They're like, okay, this will be all right. I'm like, just be yourself. You don't need to take on a character, be somebody you're not. Just accept the circumstances. This is a kid that came into your orbit, and what would you do? Like, how would you deal with them? How would you talk to them?
It's a have a seat. You get to find out what's going on with you. Have a talk with you.
Yeah,
I don't think he's old enough for a beer. I think he's maybe a
you
soda.
got the lines.
Those, yeah, no, I do remember distinctly. Because I was like, was this kind of like improvised? I did think that. I'm like, was this improvised or was this written? I don't know.
Yeah, it was a combination, mainly like with those kinds of situations where you're dealing with non-actors, which is pretty much the entire cast. There were only a few actual actors in the film. Stephanie, Edge Edgerton, and
Yes.
Vince was the guard, not the guard, but he was the warden, I guess. Yeah, you just can't really make them, memorize lines. You can sort of help them by giving them sort of your ends of how to start the scene and how maybe you want it to end.
Well,
so they have a destination in mind.
Yeah. Well, and it's a style that's utilized still in Hollywood today. I know we have, and I think Julian, you and I may continue after. I know Michael's got an appointment he may have to go to, but
I'll hang on another till 1:30.
Okay. Okay. I did want to ask Michael, since you're producing it, when you kind of thought you had something here too, let's maybe take us through as a producer your feeling when Sundance grabbed it and then into distribution. What was that feeling like?
Noah Cowan, who was I think the head program at Toronto, right, Jules?
Yeah.
And Cowboy Pictures at the time, who picked it up for distribution, was the first. He really got the film. When he wrote his review of it at the Toronto Film Festival, it just it was so refreshing to see someone actually really get the film, because it's not your traditional linear Hollywood film. So from there we had interest. We had John Sloss's office representing the film, and I just think it's an honest film that connected with a lot of people. So at the end of the day, the work speaks for itself. That's really, I think, why it's been somewhat of a cult favorite for many years now.
And being a cult favorite, it's kind of fun to see the kind of where are they now. And without getting a lot into it, I know you guys are both very modest, but you're both working on projects now and are doing things. Can you talk a little bit about how that project kind of spun you into whatever you're up to now at all?
I was never totally in the Hollywood world. I decided probably after this film that's not something I wanted to do to make a living. I've produced a couple other films, and I still have projects, and very much want to work with Julian again. So I'm not in a position where I have to rely on that to make a living, which is a great thing, because it's a bit of a crazy world, as you probably know. So always looking for projects, always looking for something new. And it's, about working with the people you want to work with. And, at this point, Julie and I talk about doing things, we're still friends, and something hopefully will be happening.
And Julian, when you look back and reflect on what that film kind of did for you, how might you try to define, looking back 23 years, if you could expect to be where you're at now, or if it took you down a path you didn't expect, or if it helped you in any particular way as you kind of reflect on a couple decades later?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't made a lot of films, so I mean, that's kind of obvious. I tend to make one every decade. So I guess I'm due for the next decade. Yeah, and the thing about trans is that, it was a certain spirit of filmmaking that, like, I'm not sure it was so exhilarating, and, there was something about it. And I think it has a lot to do with just being young and sort of there's something to that earlier first film where you really kind of are making a statement. And with us, our intention was really to just make the film we wanted to make and not have to play a game in terms of like, you know, the typical approach to sort of launching your career of like, you know, let's get a bunch of star actors and do something that's more commercially viable. We're like, let's just make the movie we want to make and let that just be what it is and have it be like a fun experience for everybody and not try to second guess like where our audience might be. So there's something about that when you do it early and you're young and you know you don't have a lot of responsibility. It's just sort of like, you know, just go for it and put out your best work and do it the way you want to do it. And if somebody likes it, you know, if 5 people watch it, you know, that's fine. If, you know, somehow it just catches fire, that's fine too. But I mean, we were surprised, I think, you know, when the film was picked up at Toronto. I was just like, we weren't sure, like, if it really, like, if we were just going to have this movie that, you know, our friends and family would be able to watch and say, great, good job, guys. And that was it. But when Toronto picked it up, it was the beginning of a wave that we were like really surprised by. We did not expect that. That wasn't what we were looking to do. I mean, we were obviously super happy and felt fortunate that it happened because, as we all know, I mean, there's so many great films that sort of fall through the cracks and there's never have an opportunity that never generate that wave. So it was just kind of good timing. The right people were in place that sort of recognized what the film was. And I think there are just a few key people that really helped sort of position the film for the indie community. Noah Cowan being one, and Jeffrey Gilmore, and also when we had a run at the new directors at MoMA with Richard Pena, who another sort of those 3 guys were really great. And there were some initial reviews that Amy Taubin was a big, you know, fan and waved our flag. Gavin Smith as well. Those people really helped us a lot. And I think in terms of just recreating what we did with trans, I don't think it's like doable because it's part of being young and sort of having your first kind of film and with a certain kind of attitude about it. The older you get, things just change and transform in terms of your interests. And, you know, that's not to say that we're not capable of risking, you know, and sort of doing more innovative work. We are, of course, but it's just a different kind of circumstance. And so there's something about trans that's sort of like that you will always, I think, will inspire us to look back on and sort of, you know, as a sort of a moment in time to sort of, because what trans did, I think, for us was just sort of, we honored what our impulses were. We really stayed true to the kind of film that we wanted to make. And I think that's the important thing. It's a big takeaway. Like, we're going to make another movie now, I would have to kind of do that again. Like, that would have to be the way forward. I just have no interest in making a film. I don't know, Michael, if you do or not, but I mean, it's just sort of, I think that like we just kind of have to, I'm a big advocate and fan of sort of handmade films, small, intimate productions. My second film was totally the opposite, and it was not, purely on a creative level, it was not as satisfying at all.
Yeah, I mean, my second film was much bigger production, not even in the same ballpark. I look back on trans as one of the top 10 things I've done in my life, and it was such a fun, good time. It's tough to really explain. It was freeing. It was scary. You know, I went to Florida. We didn't have a script, but I believed in Julian. I believed what we could do, and we just went and did it. And you know, the results are there. So I recommend, you know, young people want to make films, just get out there and give it a go. It's much easier today. with video. We shot on 16 millimeter. We edited on film, right, Jules? I mean,
You had to disassemble the 60 millimeter camera in where it was a Babcock, because the humidity was so intense. I think it sort of jammed the camera, but fortunately our DP is a super tech whiz guy that was able to sort of disassemble everything, fixed it, and we were back shooting. But yeah, because we got rained on, it was just it's a lot of different conditions for that. Somehow we managed to make it through. The thing about the other thing about trans that I is every so often I'll get letters, emails from people, sort of somehow like the movie touched them in some way and sort of they connected with it. There's no sort of casual fan, I don't think, of trans. I think it's like they either love the thing or you're like, I don't get it, and it's either or.
That's something I wanted to ask you. I had on my things to ask was, what is the biggest thing that people say about it to you?
There's two things more than anything. One, I love the music, the sound design, score, amazing. Where can I get it? I would love to find it. I get that a lot. Secondly, it's like, there's something about that kind of alienation, disconnect from the culture, disconnect from where one sort of grew up, or one sort of like, or somebody like, lives. I think a lot of people that have sort of reached out to me have said like, you really captured that sense of disconnect and alienation, from a sort of perspective of like that kind of adolescence, what it was like to kind of long to leave your hometown, so to want to be somewhere else, to be anywhere else but where you were, and to creating almost like this sort of fantasy alternate reality to sort of to move to.
Very cool. Michael, I know you want to have a last word here, Michael?
No, you can start with Jules. I want to thank you for your time and your interest in the film.
You're gonna go?
Yeah, I'd like to go.
Yeah, you can go. We've been doing this for almost 30 minutes, guys. So this is perfect. I mean,
no, I mean go to the festival.
yeah, I'd love for you to come to it.
Yeah, I'm in Miami, so I'd love to come over. I'll reach out to you and figure something out, but I'd love to see it on the screen again. It's always fun to see with an audience, but thanks for your time. Good to see your face, Jules.
You too.
Talk soon, bro.
All right.
Thank you. Mike was right. Michael Robinson. We'll hope to see you there at the Fort Myers Film Festival. Thank you. We'll stay with Julian for maybe just a few more minutes. Kind of last thoughts. I mean, for me, it's so interesting to see our protagonist making phone calls on, not to give away a whole lot of the story, but making phone calls on the payphone and stealing a car and then not, being tracked. The film, it would be so different today. So I think for there's a certain generation who never really understood what it was like, that, if you decided to steal a car, that it wouldn't be tracked, that if you left, you probably would need a cell phone, your cell phone would be tracked, there wouldn't be cops just looking for you randomly down 41. Does the message that you intended for the film stay true to the next generation, do you feel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's kind of like what I was saying earlier, that, it really sort of, I think the intention was to kind of just connect with that main sort of theme of sort of alienation and longing, and whether or not the technology, I mean, this is all trans was made pre-internet era. Right. And I think that maybe there's some sort of, I mean, for me, it's a little bit of nostalgia, sort of seeing that and what life was like prior.
Everybody who sees it, I think, will be thinking back to that time. It's part of the fun of screening it, is there's a nostalgia what it was once like, and it's a story set in a time that you would have a tough time recreating now, or getting an audience to believe. But
yeah, it's a transitional time. It was really the end of that era, and and we didn't know. Obviously, we had no idea where we would be 20 years later. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for your time, and we are going to be excited to screen Trans. We're here with director Julian Goldberger at the Fort Myers Film Festival, May 12th through 16th, 2021. Be sure to check out for schedule information at fortmyersfilmfestival.com. Julian, thank you so much for being a part of this.
You
And
bet, yeah.
we know be safe, and we're safety first. So we're showing all safety precautions. If you feel like you're coming in, we'd love to see you and love for our audiences to meet you. I know there's a lot of people that I know within our circle that would just like to speak to you. So proud of your work. And thank you for letting us screen here at the Fort Myers Film Festival.
You bet, man. Yeah.
We look forward to speaking to you again soon. And thank
All
you
right.
again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good talking to you.
Thanks,
Take it
Julian.
easy.
Okay,
All right.
talk to you soon.
All right, bye.